in that sense, that brings us back to this question is, all right, how should we judge these presidents? And I argue in the book that what you need is what I call three-dimensional ethics. Three-dimensional ethics means you don't look just at the ethics, at the intentions and the motives. You don't look just at the means or just at the consequences. You try to look at all three and try to weigh a balancing among them to get a judgment. And just to illustrate that, with a domestic simple example, and then apply it to international relations, suppose your daughter was at a high school dance and she had SATs the next morning, and a friend said, oh, I'll drive her home and get her home early because she needs rest before the SATs. And he said, well, thank you. Good intentions. But suppose the friend, in the effort to get her home early, speeds, but doesn't pay attention to the fact that the roads have become icy, skids off the road, and your daughter is killed. Would you say, but his intentions were good? Of course not. It was horrendous. Inappropriate means and a failure to properly do due diligence about possible unintended consequences that could be highly immoral. Now, to translate that to international politics, Ari Fleischer, who was George W. Bush's press secretary, said you had to admire Bush 43 for his moral clarity, and therefore his actions in Iraq, which were well-intentioned to democratize the Middle East, were moral. Well, no, isn't that just like the road accident I described? Let's grant Bush 43 good intentions. That's sometimes debated, but I'll grant him the good intentions. But in terms of the means, he didn't have the means to accomplish his goals. And the means he used, he was not able to make distinctions. And the consequences were terrible. You unleashed civil war between Sunnis and Shia. You reinforced al-Qaeda in Iraq, which eventually became ISIS. And everything was worse. And you say, yes, but unintended consequences happen all the time to all of us. But that's where this idea of due diligence comes in. Did he pay proper due diligence to looking at the prospects for immoral, unintended consequences? And if you look at the accounts we have of State Department studies about the problems of reconstruction in Iraq and CIA warnings and the fact that the White House discarded them, paid no attention to them, that's not due diligence. That's what in law we call culpable negligence. So if you take my little example of three dimensions from a road accident to a major event internationally, I think you can say that that was an immoral decision.